Hi everyone, I'm sitting here at the Yo exhibition of Beaux-Arts with Shadu. Hello Shadu.
Hello.
How are you feeling today?
Feeling good, pretty good.
Well, we're here sitting on a throne, so I'm going to ask you a little bit about your background. You're a hip-hop Belgian artist, you're making beats, and you're just getting started spreading your music on the networks. So can you tell us about how you entered the world of hip-hop? What music means for you?
Well, actually, I have to say that like hip hop was one of the last genres that really touched me. Like before, I used to be more into rock and I went my way through a lot of different stuff, and the the approach with which I came into hip hop was more into the beats at first, and I would generally like get really touched by some producers, and it's only later on that I got like the taste of rhymes and rhyme scheming and all that. So that was with the writing after, because I used to write before, but not like more in verses like we have in hip hop or such. So it's later on that I got really into that mood, and yeah, I think I've been too like hesitating or whatever to really show, and it's by meeting people around, because I think that's basic of hip hop, is really like making connections, and it's through the people around that I really got into it and all. But, yeah.
So if I understand well, music is really for you about network, meeting the right people at the right time, being inspired. So I've heard some of your tracks, and it seems that there's a lot of conversational hip hop. You seem to be reminiscing memories, maybe dreams. Can you tell us more about your world when you rap?
It's always kind of hard to answer to that question, because like I think I'm still in the process of building a universe in itself, because it's kind of spread out into different genres and different styles of writing, and yeah, like you pointed out, there's this very narrative aspect to most of my text, where I'm kind of in a conflict between the more common well, what's out there or whatever, and maybe a more poetry style which would be influenced by other things I've been listening to before, and I'm trying to meddle that in my own ways, and yeah, it's still a process actually, and yeah, it's actually, to answer the more clearly to your answer, it's always draft. And I think it's interesting now. Yeah, go ahead.
It works beautifully. It really works beautifully. And so, what do you like to listen to? Like, what are the artists that you really like to that you inspire yourself from, for example, or that you when you like their work, for example?
That's a really hard question too.
Just a few names.
But in general, yeah, let's say, to cut it short, if not, I'll just talk on for hours. I'll say Doom, MF Doom. Too much, actually. But yeah, lately, the ones that are really marking me, I've just discovered this Milo, MF Doom, let's say. Earl Sweatshirt before, but now I'm kind of moving away. I liked his first projects the most. Tyler, of course. There's this guy called Denzo himself in England, who's doing really good work. Quite young also. Chester Watson, quite young also. Quasimoto, and yeah, well, much more, but yeah. And this thing I discovered yesterday, No Name. But I mean, it really touched me. I'm really looking for stuff that emotionally capture me, like even out of like hip hop, more like King Cruel, like really like captures me with his words, you know. I think that's the aspect of hip hop that touches me. It's the words, like even in old school, whether it be Mobb Deep and such, like it's the flow plus the words, you know, like.
So Quasimoto, Earl Sweatshirt, No Name, Milo. Yeah, you're studying a lot of underground rappers that are really talented. So You've been through this exhibition. There's also history about underground hip hop in Belgium, how it all began. What did you think of the exhibition? Actually, what really marked you in it?
What I found interesting was this place where we had like this evolution of hip hop from the beginning to now, and what's interesting is like how the social classes evolve, because in the beginning we would really have like hip hop being the representation of more the lower class hurdles and all, and now we kind of see more middle class youngsters emerging and not talking about the same issues as it was in the beginning, yeah, and that's what I find interesting, because they kind of broke through this lower class representation of hip hop and to everyday life, where it can talk to much more people, because we don't have to fake living like a ghetto style life or whatever, where we can, I don't know, yeah.
And last question, do you think it's easier today to become maybe a hip hop artist? Is it more accessible? Is it more easy to find a beat and just rap on it, broadcast it on a screen? Or is it something you always have to find a subject to talk about? Is it more hard to really have people listen to you?
But I think in general everything is easier today, because we have so much more instruments before us. I mean, it's much easier to produce a beat, but what's harder is actually to produce something that would last, I think. And I think there are a lot of talented musicians out there, but I don't know if it's... Yeah, I mean...
No, I understand the struggle. So how do you like to perform? How do you feel most comfortable with? You just use one of the beats you create, and so you rap this ballad on it, or do you have you already performed in some places? Have you had good experiences?
Yeah, I've performed in open mics sometimes, but I don't have like a neat process of work, I would say. Yeah, my beats are kind of abstract, so it's not always the easiest to rap on, but I would do that sometimes, but generally just take beats from my favorite artist or such and such. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Well, we will be following you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shadu.